Hey guys, Sean's in the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doctor. Another day, another connection conversation show where we bring on guests that will share some massive value that you can actually take away and use in your everyday life for your business, your life, relationships. We talk about lead generation, we talk about building, different alliances, a lot of different topics. We're all about providing that value. Before I get into bringing on our guests, if you haven't looked at Gotbackup, if you are one that has Google Drive, Dropbox, iCloud, and you're paying extra money, usually it's $9.99 for 2 terabytes of storage for data. If you ever lost pictures and video, take a look at Gotbackup. It's in the description. You get 6 terabytes for $9.97 a month. It is easy to set up. You have an app on your phone or you put it on the computer and it will set it and forget it. Make sure you never lose those loving pictures ever again. So just a shout out for those involved. You want to learn more about it, take a look at the description. And those that are watching, please don't hesitate. Hashtag live on the live, hashtag replay on the replay. Any questions throughout, drop them in the comments. We will get back to you. Don't forget, hit subscribe, hit that like button, and hit that share the hell out of this video. We want to help as many people as possible. Let me bring on my next guest. What's up, Andrew Adams? What's up, man?
Hey, Sean. How you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. I appreciate you coming on, taking some, a little chunk out of your day to provide value. It's funny, I ask people, would you like to be on the show? And I get a lot of people turn me down, and they're like, oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I don't have enough knowledge. But I find, hey, everyone can find 15, 20 minutes. I think if you can't, you're not living by an organized day. You're like, I don't know, reckless, freelance. I don't know what's going on. But
100%. I say it all the time when somebody says, well, I'm too busy, as a referral partner, or not even as a referral partner, as a loan officer, I'm too busy to do that. I'm like, well, if you're telling people you're too busy to do that, are you really conveying what you want to convey to people?
Right.
It's telling me that you're very inefficient at what you do. If you're too busy, because if you're generating that much business, you should be hiring somebody to do stuff that you can't do, or that you don't have the time for, so that you can focus on what you're good at. So that I'm too busy thing always cracks me up. It basically tells me I need to go somewhere else because you don't have the time to actually take care of me.
Look, we're even providing value before we even get into it, Andrew. This is fantastic. So I always ask my guests, I'm like, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So my name's Andrew Adams. I've been in the mortgage business since 1990-91, and I remember distinctively being the young buck, and I now am the old dinosaur, is what I'm starting to feel. So it's been quite a journey. So I've lived through probably the best of times and the worst of times in terms of the mortgage industry. I was heavily involved prior to the big crash back in 2008. Survived the crash. As a matter of fact, flourished just after the crash as I focused all my time and energy on renovation lending, and grew to the point where I had 22 loan officers at one point reporting to me that originated nothing but renovation loans. And eventually the company that I had done that at decided to get out of the renovation space, and I had to reinvent myself. So I am now a trainer at Guaranteed Rate, where I get to help loan officers kind of sharpen their skill set and be better at what they're doing, all while I still get to originate, which was the other part of being in the mortgage business I loved. And it all revolves around educating. For me, the mortgage process is truly about educating your buyers. And that doesn't matter if you're a first-time buyer or if it's your fifth, sixth, or you're an investment property. Bottom line is you just don't know everything that you think you know about new loan programs, changes in the industry. And that's where I think the educational side of it is so important, is making sure you take the time to educate folks so that they truly understand and can make informed decisions. And that's kind of my shtick.
You resonate very well as far as I want to be the education, the value-driven, person, professional. You reinvented yourself. That's fantastic. And you're able to continue what your passion for educating, but also still originating, which is fantastic. So you're always giving and using your time wisely. And before we went live, we were like, oh, what kind of value we're going to bring to our community today? And a big thing is a lot of agents, when they go to, I talk about this in the past for years now, since 2018, I started doing video. You go get your real estate license, they teach you how to pass a test. They don't teach you how to build a business, how to build a brand, to help generate leads. And in reality, a realtor, mortgage professional, insurance agent, title, attorneys, we're all lead generation professionals. Oh, we're not sales. We're not doing. Yes, you have to find leads. And if you're not closing leads, you're not making money. So
Correct.
I think a great thing I've always talked about is having a strategic alliance. In your mind, what is important for those that are watching, realtors, mortgage professionals, accountants, financial advisors, what should they be doing?
Well, I think it's critically important that you align yourself with people that have similar goals and similar strategies. We were talking before, and one of the things I had brought up, which I think really is really important, is, if you're working with a loan officer, if you're a realtor, and as a loan officer, if I'm working with a particular realtor, we want to make sure that we're on the same page about how we go about things. So, for example, we've got a lot going on with the NAR settlement. There's a lot of confusion around it. And, one of the big things for me is a lot of agents are kind of have their blinders on and are focused on compensation. And my thing is they're missing the boat, because it's really not about compensation, never has been about compensation. Buyer's agents are there to represent the buyer and the buyer's best interest in the transaction. Yes. And you need to focus on that representation more so than the compensation. Now, having said that, the other key thing there is, okay, well, I do need to get paid. And that's where the partnership becomes really, really important, is because when you're working with a loan officer that says, yeah, I understand the value of you as a buyer agent, I'm going to work with you to get you your full commission. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But we're not going to lead with that. We're going to build that into the financing strategies that we present to our buyer, that we then present together to the listing agent, so that we are now actually have this joint approach to making an offer. And that's where that partnership to me is really, really important. I cannot tell you the first thing about what the true value of a piece of real estate is. I have no idea. I need the buyer's agent's expertise in terms of property values, in terms of what needs to be in an offer to make it a successful offer. What I bring to the table is I have an expertise in understanding the different ways to structure financing to achieve those goals. And then I like the idea of doing joint, what I like to call a digital offer, where you put together essentially a quick video that explains, here's the offer, and this is how we financed it, this is why we financed it, and this is why your seller is going to agree to a 3% seller commission, even though the buyer agent commission, even though they said they weren't going to pay anything. And that's the big thing, is too many agents are walking away from properties right now simply because the upfront offer of compensation is not what they've got an agreement with their buyer on.
And it just puts in perspective for sale by owners. A lot of listing agents are talking to, or wouldn't show a for sale by owner, but in reality, you could present an offer with the percentage involved in that. It's all about negotiating
Absolutely.
your contract.
Yeah. So, a seller does not accept or reject offers based on offers of compensation. They accept or reject based on net proceeds. So at the end of the day, what they're offering up front and even what you're asking for is irrelevant. It's the bottom line is what matters. And that's why I say we need to stop focusing on compensation and start focusing on representation.
Now, having a strategic alliance, a lot of mortgage professionals, if they're newbies, always want to work with a realtor or a realtor, group or team of realtors. But they forget there's a lot of other intricate things involved in a transaction of other professionals that they should be working with hand in hand, building relationship, building leads. Who are others that they should be speaking with to build those alliances up?
Yeah. So in my experience, the alliances, there's the natural fits, which are going to be, realtors, obviously. Attorneys, for me, I'm in an attorney state. Closing agents, insurance agents, quite honestly, are becoming way bigger because of all the changes that have gone on with insurance. The latest one, and I'm not even sure if you've experienced this down in New Jersey yet, is when the life expectancy of the roof drops below 15 years, insurance carriers are saying that they now won't do full replacement cost. Well, that's something that you kind of need to think about up front. And that might be something you need to build into the offer in replacing the roof that you might not have been thinking of had you not had that conversation with an insurance agent. And that to me is yet another example of why, we as individuals have our experience and our knowledge, but we need to pull in these other alliances that will help us to achieve that. And that goes from those standard ones to now you got to think about, well, what about an accountant? What about a CPA? What about an elder care attorney? Because maybe there's a reverse mortgage situation that needs to be addressed. And part of it is you as a loan officer have to expand your knowledge of the products that you offer and think past taking an order, but understand how you might be able to leverage different strategies using those programs that will be a benefit to your consumer and your referral partners.
Yeah, I mean, having those relationships, and it's true, the roof is a big thing. A lot of times people write policies. People don't realize this too. You have insurance companies that will have an inspector go out and we're taking information from the get-go, from application, and we're based it off of trust.
Right.
Maybe it's the appraisal. Maybe someone didn't do the appraisal right. But if we're taking it off of trust, we're putting it out there. Inspectors should go out there and see exactly what we just presented. But in some cases, they don't, and they give you a recommendation letter. Yeah. Now, if you don't get this done, for example, maybe the roof, there might be issues with the roof. It could be something with a porch I've had recently. The boards weren't uneven. They need you to replace that stuff. If you don't replace it, they're going to cancel your policy. Now you're going to have a problem getting another policy because you have, some history here. So It's all important to have those conversations, learning of what's happening, how to, grow with, you talked about accountants, financial advisors. If you teach them how to recommend you, you'll have more opportunities. But if you think, like, for example, I kid out about this. My mother doesn't recommend me, ever. My father recommends going to a company that's online. And I'm like, what? Because you're a veteran? And I'm like, I'm in the business.
That's what I do for a living.
But like my dad was a car salesman. I was always recommending him.
Right.
He wouldn't recommend me auto. And I'm like, because I didn't teach him. So if we're not teaching our own parents how to sell us,
correct,
they're not going to do it. So what is important? What are some things that we should share for networking purposes, online, in person, events you might go to? How should we go about getting those connections, knowing those people?
Yeah, honestly, it's all about having conversations. I mean, you and I are a great example. We connected, in an exchange on a Facebook post that somebody had made, and it revolves around asking questions, which I don't think a lot of people do. Is every networking event I've ever been to, you've got somebody that's new to networking and they are doing their elevator pitch. I believe that you can't solve a problem that you don't know is there. So I think the key is when you're networking and trying to find those right fits is to ask questions so that you can kind of uncover where there might be some synergy between you and that individual. Now, the only way that's going to happen is if you put yourself out there and have those conversations. And that, to me, particularly for newer loan officers, that's the step that you got to take. And that really can be anywhere. I mean, it can be online now. It doesn't have to be physically face-to-face. I think face-to-face is far superior, but you got to start somewhere.
I agree. Face-to-face is awesome, but we're doing something right now, virtual. What happens, and I found, you do the face-to-face coffee shop meetings, you might have 3 or 4 in a day, maybe.
Yeah.
They might have to cancel. And now you might have drove somewhere. Now you got to drive back. Yeah. This, if Andrew didn't want to do this today, I can go to my next one and my next one and my next one. And if those that didn't do it, it's like, shame on you. We just missed a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Will I get back to you later? Probably, but I'm going to be hesitant because someone blew you off. But it's all about getting to know them as well. I love that. I say this too in my group. We want to, I want to, how can I help you grow your business? That should be coming out of the first time you meet somebody. It's not like, oh, hey, I'm Sean Zim. I do insurance in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. Do you have any clients right now? I can help us do a second opinion insurance review. You don't want to hear that. I want to be like, Andrew, man, I love to, learn about your business, see how we can help each other. We're helping our communities right now doing something. Your friends are getting to know who I am. I'm going to, my friends are getting to know who you are. And that's how we collaborate. And if we do more of this, more educating, sky's the limit for everybody.
100% agree with that. I think that's part of the reason you and I kind of hit it off is that approach kind of resonated with me. And our business circles are different. I'm up in Boston. You're down in New Jersey. We probably have referral partner. I wouldn't even call them referral partners. Relationships in both areas where we can make introductions for one another to folks that are truly in your referral network. Simply because we connected on a Facebook post, which I think is awesome.
It's powerful. And a great friend of mine, Matthew Victoria, we always talk and a lot of people are always looking for that, calling somebody for a deal. It's like, I can give you an apple you can eat for today. I give you an apple tree you can eat for a couple of weeks. But if I can give you an apple orchard, you're going to live for a lifetime off of all the apples. So those orchards are those accountants, financial advisors, people that investors. Why not work with an investor that does maybe 2 deals a month rather than one transaction for the entire year?
Absolutely.
Mindset change, everyone.
Oh, it's totally a mindset change, and it's what's interesting is I've recently been kind of delving into and learning more about the DSCR programs for investors, which are basically debt service ratio, which is more like of a commercial approach to lending. And the thing about that is what's important to an investor in terms of financing and what's important to a homeowner are not the same thing. So if I actually approach an investor the same way I approach somebody that's buying a primary residence, I'm not actually uncovering what their real needs are. Their needs are very, very different. They're not looking for a roof over their head necessarily. They're worried about cash flow. That cash flow, speed, so their priorities are different. And it's important that you, as you're talking to folks, start to understand what drives them and what's important to them so that you can then see if you are a right fit. And at the end of the day, you're going to have relationships that you realize, this isn't the right fit. And you had mentioned coffee meetings, and it always cracks me up because real estate agents always joke about, oh yeah, another loan officer wants to have coffee with me. And it just absolutely slays me because they're all convinced that the loan officers are doing that to get business from them. And I always approach that as an opportunity to figure out if I want to send that individual business, and their unwillingness to meet or cancel takes them off that list of people that I'll refer business to. So they think that I'm going to be basically begging them for business. And in fact, I'm trying to decide if I want to send them business. Exactly. So it always cracks me up. And it's frustrating when you make the time to meet somebody and they call you 10 minutes after they were supposed to be there. Oh, I can't make it today. And it makes me laugh. And it's just one of those things where early in my career that used to actually make me angry. Now I just enjoy my cup of coffee and laugh.
Man, massive value here. And I want to finalize our conversation today. I want to, in your mind right now, I would love to really focus for those new mortgage originators that just got their license. What are 3 to 5 things that they should focus on to start getting some business in the next 60 to 90 days? A lot of people say, I want to get to business now. You can't. It's going to close in 45. So we got to think about 45 to 60 to 90 days out. What are some things 3 to 5 things they should be doing to kind of make that success happen?
Well, one, you have to get out there, whether it be in person or whether it be through social media. You have to let everybody you know what you do. Secondly, and I think this is really important, is you really have to be the master or a master of your industry. So, I've been in the business 30 years. Now I get on masterminding calls 2 to 3 times a week just to listen to what other loan officers are doing and what's being effective for them, so that I can then take that in and apply it to my business. And that can be things like, video creation. It can be things like, strategically, how do I set up financing? All the different financing options. It's impossible to know everything. So you do have to kind of expand your knowledge and listen to how other people position stuff. So I think it's important that you spend time learning in your first 90 days to get out business, so that when you have those conversations, you can then put into practice those different strategies. So for me, those are really probably, I think that's the two: get out there, be a student of the game, and then use what you've learned being a student in those conversations when you identify the opportunity. That to me is the 3 keys, because that's where you're going to get the business, is the conversations. But conversations without having a solution to a problem is not going to generate you anything. It's going to cost you a cup of coffee.
No doubt about it. Now that should help a lot of people out there. And I'll give you a fourth. I'll put it in the description, guys. There'll be a link. You'll have the ability to get the connection machine template talking about video content creation, how to build your brand for free. Definitely check it out. Love to help those that are watching to continue growing. So, Andrew, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and everyone. And to the next one, we'll definitely do this again. Stick around for one moment after, and we hope that everyone else has some major takeaways. And enjoy the rest of your day.